The edit was officially, we had about 2 or 3 weeks, I think maybe 3 weeks set aside for me to work kind of full time on the edit. And then after that, it was ad hoc days because I had to go back to work and all that.
Our edit lasted about 2 weeks. Luckily, because I was editing it myself, I got home the night after the shoot and started straight away just because I felt inspired after being there all day. So
with animation, it all happens a bit backwards. You do all the editing before you actually, shoot it. And so, yeah, the editing, I guess, it sort of started after the script work. So it lasted probably maybe 3 months. And I mean, it continued to change and evolve as I was animating and sort of coming up with new ideas or way of doing scenes or, adapting to problems and things like that.
In terms of how long the edit process went on for, I'd say probably about 4 months. There's a lot of back and forth in terms of trying to capture what the story really was. And because there's this kind of twist in the story as well, trying to figure out what moments can really make it work and lend itself to the emotion we're trying to convey to people, the feeling we're trying to convey to people at the end. So it goes through a lot of editing, I think that's when you really find the most actually authentic pieces in a film, is when people really find that moment that just really clicked and worked. And that can take time. One
of the big challenges of the film was the tonal shift in the film, because it starts very lighthearted and full of energy, and it takes a turn to the dark side. And it was very clear in the script when that happened, and it was also very clear in the trying to make the material work afterwards. That handling that tonal shift was really key. So that took a good few so it took some experimenting in the edit with the shape of the story, and we did end up keeping its original structure, but that definitely took a bit of work for us to figure out how to handle that tonal shift, because it worked perfectly on the page, and then of course, when you get into the edit, you discover things that do and don't work, so that took a bit of time to get that right.
It was quite a quick turnaround because we knew there were festival deadlines we wanted to get it to, and it was due for our graduation piece, so I would just keep doing edits. It started really long, about 15 minutes, and I'd send it out to everyone and they'd tell me which parts were crap and things like that, and our lecturers, Garth and Ben, helped a lot. So it just got cut down to about 6 minutes after about 7 re-edits, I think it was.
So the editing process in the film was really important, and I think the way that Nush and Joseph Kumar collaborated together was really, really important and useful. And I think Joe contributed something really important to the project, which is he was a bit, not the bubble burster, but the one that brought us back to reality sometimes with, what we were trying to achieve. And he had this kind of...
He's really good, and he's so on it. So he'd be like, hey, this is not working, we need to solve this. And we had several problems, how we're gonna, the shot where we kind of connect them, and we spent ages trying to figure it out. Just things like that. Joe was really great, and also editing the end shot. The end shots, I animated them, especially the end shot, quite long, and it wasn't kind of giving that kind of emotion. And then I just gave it to Joe, and it came back, and I said it's perfect.
When we decided on edit, it was in between Edinburgh and London, so the process lasted a bit longer because also some scenes went out. So we had a longer version that we cut on shorter. And this is, again, learning process. You are a filmmaker and you want to show everything, but you can't because people get bored, they won't like your film. So it had to be, my first version was longer, and then we had to cut down on 15 minutes. And I'm grateful to producers who influenced me, saying, well, look, one is what you want to tell and one is what audience want to see.
We showed early cuts of the film to a small selection of people to start with. So we had a fantastic writing tutor at the NFTS who would watch the films with us, and an animation tutor as well. And at the earlier stages, we were really getting feedback on, is the story coming across? How is it working? It's really important to choose the right people to come and it's not about getting the feedback you want to hear. It's about getting the right sort of person who you think understands what you're trying to do, but has the experience or the wherewithal to push you in the right directions, to give you feedback even if you don't want to hear it, but somebody ultimately who has your best interests and the film's best interests.
The music in our film is shut down by the rapper Skepta. I don't know him that well, but when I was younger, I used to do like behind the scenes on like Boy Better Know's music videos. So luckily, I'd always had the manager's email from when I was really young, and I just kept it in a notebook because I always knew one day I'd want to do something with him. So it was just, we just chased them up for weeks because I wrote it in without getting permission, but I knew it was what I wanted, so we didn't shoot until we got their permission because I knew I wouldn't be able to swap it out for another song. I was like so attached to it by then. Yeah.
The first half of the film, the only music that's in the film is diegetic, like commercial music. And then the second half of the film is score and is composed. And we tried to use score in the beginning as well for the first part of the film, but it just didn't work. It was very interesting because the composer said to me when he first read the script, and it was his first impression was that there shouldn't be any score up until this midway point where the tragedy happens, which was a very interesting response. And although we tried, because we thought we weren't going to get the rights for certain commercial tracks, we tried to do score, and it just didn't work because the film was about party and music and life. And so in the end, we got commercial tracks cleared for the first half, and the second half, the score really massively helped with that tonal shift. And I think it's beautiful, beautiful music by a composer called Gareth Averill. He did a great job. And once we got that music, things started to click together, I think, tonally, and made the film work for us.
As a director, I think the biggest responsibility is to maintain the balance between kind of preserving your own personal vision and taking on board other people's ideas.
I think as a producer, the biggest responsibility is to just be the best partner in crime for the director.
I think if you're going to make film, then take some responsibility as director to tell stories that matter.
For me, I am the type of producer who likes to make sure that you're nurturing that idea into existence. You're the midwife of the idea into the real world.